Catalog views is one of the main ways that Microsoft's going to suggest that you access metadata. As a matter of fact, catalog views are Microsoft's recommended method of accessing metadata. Now, catalog views provide access to metadata that's stored in every database on the server, and if there's ever any changes to the underlying system tables, you'll not notice it. This is big because in past versions of SQL Server, before we had things like catalog views and information schema views, we'd actually code directly to the system tables to find things like the columns in a table and if a table exists and so forth. Well, then the next new shiny version of SQL Server would be released, and guess what? They changed the names of the system tables and how the data was stored, and it broke all of our code. Well, now Microsoft's guaranteeing us if we use catalog views, even if they change the system table structures, they will change the catalog view that points to the underlying tables so that it'll be blind to our code. We won't notice anything changed. Catalog views provide descriptive information. It's the most efficient way to obtain metadata information because we're calling views that were built by Microsoft developers, and they've gone to great lengths to make sure that they're getting that data in the most efficient way possible for SQL Server. Now notice this last statement here. All user-available catalog metadata is exposed through catalog views. That sentence is saying two things. First, it's saying just what you see there, but what it's really saying is catalog views will give you more information than information schema views will. We'll talk about why in information schema views, but for now, just understand that when Microsoft adds something into their version of SQL Server that is not really part of the SQL standard, their catalog views will pick it up, and information schema views probably won't. We'll talk about that more in information schema views. Now here's a Microsoft recommendation concerning catalog views. Try to avoid using select asterisk in your final code. So if you're going to access a catalog view inside of a stored procedure to verify the existence of a table, don't use select asterisk. Now, if you're just playing with them like we are, if you're just kind of exploring around, it's okay. But future releases of SQL Server may add more and more columns to the column list in a particular view, and the number of returned columns could create an issue with your code. So Microsoft's warning you now, stay away from that. Let's go out and just look at a couple of catalog views in action. So I'm going to jump out to the Management Studio, and I've just created a new query here, and notice I'm connecting to AdventureWorks. Well, first of all, let's run a real quick one. Let's do a select asterisk from sys.tables. All right, and we'll execute that. And notice this is going to give us a list of all the tables out there in our database. Notice here's the TrigX that we use in our trigger examples. Come on down, you can see the various ones that we've worked with and played with. Somewhere down here is the person.person. There's the person table. There's the person phone table. So there's a list of all the tables and some other information out here. Let's do another one. Let's do this. Let's do a select asterisk from sys.all_columns. And you'll just have to go out there and look at all of these catalog views and see what's available. Now notice, this is going to show me column names, all right? But it's 8,215 rows. These are all the columns and all the tables out there in the database, all right? But notice the object ID, okay, for this, right? And you can scroll across here and you can see all kinds of information about this. But I want to do this a little different. I want to do it where the object ID is a certain table, all right? Well, notice we can select from sys tables. I'm going to add this on here, where name equals person, okay? And I can highlight that and execute it. And notice the object ID is right here, okay? So if I want to see all the columns in person, I'm just going to add a where clause here where object underscore ID equals, and I will put that number, right? So I'll click on that and copy it, come right up here and paste it and select that. And notice that gave me 13 rows. And if I scroll down, that is all the columns that's in my person table. Okay. Now let's do one other thing while we're here. Can't resist this. And I'm just going to copy and paste this in so that you can see it. You remember when we did subqueries a little earlier in the course? Well, we could use our old friend the subquery right here and write this out in a way that makes sense and never even have to go find this number. Notice if I put a subquery here, and I am going to do it this way so it's a little easier for you to see, we're going to select from sys all columns where object ID equals, and we'll just select the object ID from the sys tables where the name equals person. And if I execute that, notice it returns that same information, 13 rows. Notice here's my object ID, and here's my column ID, the system type, the user type, and so forth. So lots of information out there hidden in metadata. Go play with it. I've shown you two. There's a lot more. But just go play with it and see what you can see and see how you can do joins and find the different aspects and pieces. But there's a lot of information to be had and to be used out there in metadata. And these catalog views are Microsoft's recommended way to go about doing that.